Okay. A commenter by the name of Patrick requested that I go over how SI points work. SI points being the means through which you qualify for the 6 Invitational, in addition to a last chance qualifier, 1 per region. But we're just going to focus on how points are distributed in the different regions. So there are 4 different regions in Siege. There is North America, there is Europe, there is Latin America, and there's Asia Pacific. And there's even subdivisions and different national leagues within them, but the divisions are the only ones that really matter for SI points. And before I go any further, I just want to mention somebody requested also in, I think on Reddit maybe, that I darken my spreadsheets so that it's easier to view them in a dark room. So I have this browser extension, this dark mode browser extension that just makes things dark. And this will work fine for this, but I'll have to figure out a different system in the future because if I include colors, it is just what I assume is inverting the colors. Like, is green, yeah, it's got to be inverted, right? Because green becomes purple and yellow becomes like blue and stuff like this. And then green becomes this and red becomes, okay, so it messes up colors on sheets, so I'll have to figure out something else. But for today's purposes, we will just put it in dark mode. And everyone, if you care to, let me know how it looks for you, if you like it being a little bit lighter than this, or if you like it being this dark or whatever. Okay, so again, 4 regions. Let's start with North America. That's the one I always talk about in all my videos, and it's simplest in North America, and Europe's not really any more complicated. There are 9 teams in the NAL. Formerly, there was a US division and a Canada division, but it is just North American League now. Just one main division. So there are 9 teams, and there should be a 10th team in the future, and there's supposed to be, but you know, we'll see how that pans out. The top 8 teams get SI points, different amounts, and the 9th place team does not get SI points. You can see the numbers broken down here, and I'll come back to this. I'm going to go to Wikipedia and look at a few things to explain the different leagues once I get to the more complicated ones. So Europe, same kind of thing, but they do have 10 teams, so it's just the 9th and the 10th place team don't get points, and then all the other placements do. In stage 1, teams were awarded additional points in the top 4. As you can see, it's 225 for 1st through 5th in stage 2 and 3. Because 1st through 4th qualify for the major and have a chance to earn additional points, and guaranteed also you get at least 50 points. So although it says 225 here, you are guaranteed 50 points even if you get last place in the major. Okay, so again, I'll come back to this and talk about if it was beneficial in stage 1 or stage 2, and it was beneficial for some people and not beneficial for others. So that is North America and Europe, not complicated at all. Now we need to talk about Latin America and Asia Pacific. So let's go to Wikipedia to see what's going on there. So you can, if you'd like, just go to Wikipedia. I just searched, I think, 6 Invitational points or something, and it was just right there. Standings, maybe. We have the global point standings. And I'll maybe come back to this as well after I explain the regions, but okay. The top 8 teams from both of those regions still get the points, but it is differently awarded. It is not just as a result of your round robin standings within the division, and I suppose it's mostly because they have the subdivisions. I didn't mention also in Europe, they just have the main league. They don't have sub leagues at tier 1. There's also national leagues, but it's weird in that And well, they have their own Challenger League system as well, but also that's T2, not T1, not Tier 1. And the National Leagues, any tier of team, I guess, can play, because even the pro teams play in them, so it's kind of a curious system. But, right, the National Leagues feed Challenger League, which feeds the top league, the European division or whatever. Okay, back to the LATAM. Let's, let me click here, and Copa Elite 6 is what we need to focus on. The name is a little bit misleading because the 6 comes from Rainbow Six Siege, not from 6 teams qualifying, although there are 6 teams from one division, 6 teams from one division, and 2 teams each from 2 other divisions, so let's see what they are. This is a specific example. This is not general. This is just what happened in Stage 2, but it is the most recent case, so we'll just use it as the example. There are 3 main divisions in Latin America. There is the Campeonato Brasileiro, the main one that everyone thinks of when they say or hear LATAM. Okay. The top 6 teams from that qualify for this playoff thing. And then you have the Campeonato Mexicano and the Campeonato Sudamericano. Okay. So Mexicano, that is just Mexican teams, and there are a few players in that league that are from other countries, including like Brazil and a couple other countries. I think there's like one from Costa Rica. But my understanding is that you have to have a majority Mexican team. And I'm gonna take a drink of water here because my mouth is making all sorts of noises. Which I'm unsure if the microphone's picking up or not. It probably is. Okay, hopefully this is a little bit better. Right. Majority Mexican team, so 3 out of 5. And then Campeonato Sudamericano. So, right, Brazil is in South America, but this is everything except for Brazil. And again, I think you can probably have Brazilian players in this, but you need to have a majority from non-Brazilian South American countries. So I think there's only like 5 countries represented in this, and it's just like Argentina, Uruguay, and a few others. Okay, so it is the top 2 teams from non-Brazilian South America, the top 2 teams from Mexico, and the top 6 teams from Brazil. They are then put into 2 groups of 5. The top team from each group automatically gets sent to the semifinals of a bracket. So they are sent to the top 4, so that means you're automatically going to the major. And then the second and third place teams play the opposite seed from the other group. So second place from group A plays the third place seed from group B, and vice versa, second, third. They'll play each other, and then the winner of that will go to the semifinals to fight one of the 2 top seeds, and then they play it out from there. But once you are in the semifinals, you've already done well enough to qualify for the major and thus to get additional SI points. But at this point, you're just playing, I suppose, for glory, but then also for additional prize money. And I think that pretty well covers LATAM. I think we can move on from there. I don't think there's any... I guess I'll mention... It is still the top 8 teams getting points, so... where does it show? Right here. Down to 5th place, you'll still get 225 points. You'll just not have the chance to go to the major and get more points. And then 6th, 7th, 8th place. I'm not positive how these are then determined, if it's just a tiebreak thing or if they play against each other. Because if you get eliminated in the quarterfinals, you're at 5th/6th place. So I don't know if it's just a head-to-head tiebreaker or if they play against each other. And then same thing, if you were just the 4th place in each group, you'll still get some SI points and you will get 5th or 6th. I think it looks like it might just be a tiebreaker because so you see that in 7th place is FaZe and 8th place is Malvinas Gaming. FaZe, Malvinas, so 4th and 4th. They have the same record, but FaZe has a better round differential. So, and same number of points, of course, too. And then I'm not sure how the other one is decided. Maybe they play a tiebreaker, but I don't see it listed on here if they do. That's unclear. But yeah, that covers the majority of Latin America. So let's go look at APAC, which is similar, but still even a little bit different. This is APAC, and then we'll go to the stage 2 playoffs. Okay, so you qualify for the playoffs by getting second through... Okay, let me go back a little bit. There are 2 main divisions in APAC these days. There's APAC North and there's APAC South. And as you can see here, that's not the only things that qualify you for this. I guess the top 2 teams from the South Asia Nationals also can get you here. I'm not sure why it's this Nationals in particular. I don't know if it's just the strongest league or if they're just like not properly represented in APAC North or South or what it is. But so it is the top 2 teams from South Asia Nationals, the 2nd through 4th place teams from APAC North, and the 2nd through 4th place teams from APAC South. The 1st place teams already qualified for the major from APAC North and APAC South. They don't have to play in these playoffs. So like this year, that was the Knights and Cyclops, I think. So these guys, they play just a big bracket, as you can see, and there is a 5th place match here to determine this. Okay, so 5th through 8th. As you can see, top 6 from this get points, and then above here even are the top two, right? Top 1 from North and top 1 from South. So it's the same thing. 225 for the top 5 placing teams. The top 4 of those get to go to the major and earn additional points. I'm not sure what the prize payout is for the 1st place team from each division, but the point is moot because we were just talking about SI points. I think that pretty well covers it. Now we can just go back and we'll just have a quick glance at the overall standings. But no, let's look at how points were awarded first. So let's go back to the spreadsheet. I think this makes a little bit more sense. Okay, So I have told you now how you get each placement, and now here are the points awarded for each placement. Stage 2 and 3, as you can see, are identical, and stage 1 is a little bit different. So stage 1, 510 points, 390, 330, all the way down. And then if you're just looking at NAL, you can even cut off the 10th place because there was no 10th place. But we had, in stage 1, like this was Oxygen, this was Sonics, and stage 2, this was SSG, TSM. And then stage 3 has not yet been completed, but right now Oxygen is in first. We'll see where they end up and so on from there. Okay, so what is interesting about any of this? If you placed in 5th place in stage 1, it's the same exact number of points, same opportunities and everything as getting 5th in stage 2 and 3, and this is true of all placements below top 4, okay? But if you placed 1st place in stage 1, you got 510 points, whereas 4th place got 275 points. In stage 2, you got an identical number of points, and you had the exact same opportunity to gain additional points. You didn't get anything more going into the major except for your seeding. So you're at the major, you're put into 4 groups of 4. If you got 1st place, you are a 1st seed, and the way they did this major, and it's unclear if they will do the exact same thing for the next major, but what they did for this major was a 1st seed from one region, a 2nd seed from another region, 3rd seed from another region, 4th seed from another region. So nobody played against an identical seed in their group, and nobody played from somebody else from their own region in their group. So that's the only advantage you had. So it was very, very good for you to get 1st place in stage 1 because you did not have to play past your league, your whatever, your Copa Elite 6 or your North American League or your European League or whatever. You didn't have to play past that for points. You get 510 points versus 270. That's a lot of points. If you got 4th place in stage 1 is equivalent to 4th place in stage 2 or stage 3 and last place in your group at the major. So because that's the way they seed it, that means living up to your seed, you should be getting a last place in your group, but that doesn't take into account regional strengths because like maybe LATAM's 3rd seed is stronger than APAC's 1st seed or whatever, whichever region over whichever region. Okay, because you're only competing within your own region to decide your like global seeding in a way. Okay. If you got 3rd place in stage 1, it is the equivalent number of points as getting 9th through 12th place. So that is getting 3rd place in your group, not making it to the playoffs. If you got 2nd place in stage 1, it is equivalent to getting to the quarterfinals of the major and then being eliminated. So that means getting 1st or 2nd seed in your group and then losing your first playoff match. And then things get a little bit different from there because that is the equivalent, right, I said 2nd place is equivalent to 5th through 8th. So that means 1st seed is somewhere in here. It doesn't actually line up perfectly. 510 points, so 225 points plus 230 points. That's already going to get you, that's 455 points. So getting 1st place in stage 1 is better than getting 3rd through 4th place. So to get more points from stage 2 or 3, to get more points in stage 2 or 3 than you got as the 1st place team in stage 1, you had to make it to the finals of the major. So like I don't actually remember who it was for the other. I think it was Liquid maybe in LATAM, but it was Oxygen in North America. So they got this just like gargantuan advantage. None of the North American teams in stage 2 got past the quarterfinals. So yeah, it was a huge boon. So it was super nice to get a really high placement in stage 1. And by getting a lower placement in stage 2 or 3, but still getting in the top 4, you were punished much less. You were punished only in seeding, not in anything else. But there is still opportunity for more points. If you won the major or were the runner-up at the major, it is more points than if you got stage. So if you were like by far the best team in the world and you were going to win the major or even come 2nd place at the major, it sucks for you that you did not get to go play at the major. Because 1st place, you get 300 points on top of your 225 points. So that is 525 points. It's an additional 15 on top of this. 375 plus 225, potential for 600 points. So overall, if you got 1st place in stage 1 and you went to the major in stage 2 and 3 and you won the major both times, you would have a total of or rather 1,710 points. How do you get that? 225 plus 375 is 600. Do that again because of this. That's 1,200, and then add the 510 on top. 1,710. But of course, you don't need 1,710 points to go to SI. You don't need anywhere near that. You need only get more points than at least 15, or rather, you have to be in the top 16 of points, which means that you can allow up to 15 teams to have more points than you, and that number changes a little bit if you are tied in like last place and then tiebreakers, which again I'm not clear on how tiebreakers are decided. Okay, so that's everything I think I need to talk about here. It's pretty simple in this way. The most complicated thing was the LATAM and the APAC placement system. I'll talk about this one more time just so it's all in one spot. 13th through 16th place means you got last place in your group at the major. 9th through 12th place means you got third place in your group at the major. 5th through 8th place means you got first or second place in your group at the major, and then you lost immediately in the playoffs. 3rd through 4th means you won your first round in the playoff and then lost after that. 1st through 2nd means you won your first and second match in the playoffs, and then first place wins the finals and second place loses the finals, of course. So there are some ties here, like 2 teams here, 4 teams here, 4 teams here, 4 teams here. Okay. And I think that should be clear on all of that. And with that all being said, let's just look at the standings now. There's not that much speculation left to do because the points have already been awarded for Stage 1 in its entirety and Stage 2 in its entirety, and now we just need to see where teams land for Stage 3 and then how teams perform at the major. You can't see it on here because I am in the dark mode, but there are currently only 2 teams qualified for the major guaranteed. Liquid and Team 1 are guaranteed. Everything else is up for grabs all the way down to here, I guess, because there's another background color that indicates that they're not confirmed, but they're not confirmed to not go. So even like all the way down to Beast Coast, I think they would pretty much have to win the major. So it's not only unlikely that they'll get to the major, but then it's very unlikely that they'll win the major in addition, but they could do it theoretically. The most important things that we're looking at here. So top 16, right? There is a 3-way tie at 15th. So that means 15th through 17th are G2, TSM, and Astralis, and I suppose maybe Astralis is losing in the tiebreak to these 2. I don't know how it's determined, but maybe like if you went to a major, you have, and another team didn't, you have the tiebreaker over them, or maybe it's just like randomly. I don't know how the tiebreaker's determined. And then there are a few teams that are just like Kavana and Mirage are just below. They're only 30 points below, but then there's a pretty big gap, 65 more points down to Fnatic. So it is likely, it's guaranteed going to be these top 2, and then the other 14, it's likely going to be, 14 of the 16 teams, 17 teams here, because this is 18th through 19th. Yeah, so, and the ones up here are even like very likely to go. The ones that probably are still fighting for their spots are like everything below Dark Zero, because there's a pretty big gap here. And a lot of people do coverage of this thing. They like run simulations and stuff and give you % chances of each team making it or not making it, depending on where they place at the end of Stage 3. And I just saw one of those earlier on Reddit, so you probably don't have to scroll that far down on the Pro League or I don't even remember what the subreddit's called, the competitive one that I post all my videos in, right? So again, I don't want to speculate too much because there's just like so ridiculously many possibilities, but it's looking pretty good for a lot of these teams. It's possible we're gonna have a lot of NA teams going because Oxygen, Sonics, Dark Zero, Space Station, and then even TSM Astralis, and then even Mirage, maybe like 7 teams, and then that's not even counting the last chance qualifier for NA. There could be 8 out of 20 NA teams. It's not that likely, but they're certainly gonna be like 6. Probably 5 NA teams will make it here, and then the 1 NA qualifier, which could be a non-US team. Again, it could be Canadian team like Parabellum. It was Parabellum last time, which is cool. So I think that covers it. That is the SI 2022 qualification system. It might be a pretty similar system next stage, or rather next season, for the 2022 season, which qualifies for the 2023 Sixth Invitational. But certainly, unless things happen in a very particular way, all 3 stages might resemble the way that stage 2 and stage 3 were played here, where it's the, you know, the placements and get you points, and then you go to the major to get your additional points and prize money and glory and whatever. So I'm looking forward to SI, and we are gonna have to wait just a well, I mean, in a handful of weeks we'll finish all the leagues, I suppose, and then a while after that we'll play the major. So in the next few months we'll see who is going to be going in SI, and then a few months after that even we'll see SI, because it should theoretically be back in February at Montreal, right? Okay, I'm hoping I didn't miss anything. I don't think I'm missing anything big. Probably I'm missing something like small or whatever, but if you think I missed anything, let me know. If you want to see other particular things in the future, like this was requested, let me know. If you have any suggestions for ways I can improve my videos, let me know. If you would be so kind, maybe like or subscribe or start a discussion in the comments. You could do that. And I think that does it. So this was SI 2022 qualification system.